Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to The Clean Slate Podcast. I'm Carson Phillips. That's Daniel Garza. This is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Yes, it is.
I already said that. And it's Noirvember number 3. This is the third noir film we've watched this month. And I hope you guys are watching along because we have another fun movie in store.
Sweet. All right, cool. Well, guys, we are starting off with none other than On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. So here is the logline. An ex-prize fighter turned New Jersey longshoreman struggles to stand up to his corrupt union bosses, including his older brother, as he starts to connect with the grieving sister of one of the syndicate's victims.
Dang.
Yeah.
Do you think Marlon Brando's like hot? Do you find him
No,
hot?
I never
He's supposed
thought
to be
so.
hot.
Yeah, everybody thinks he's hot. I thought the other one, James Dean, was hot. But Marlon Brando, everybody's like, oh my gosh, he was the heartthrob of the 50s. And I didn't think so.
He kind of has like the build of someone from my family before they get fat.
Yeah, that's on brand. Is he dead? Yeah, he died 20 years ago. He would be.
Was it that long ago?
He would be 100 this year if he was still alive.
Wow. I mean, amazing in The Godfather. And pretty good in this movie, too.
Yeah.
As far as this plot for this one goes, guys, there's not a whole lot you need to know except for Brando is a semi-retired boxer who almost, I guess, went pro, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
He had to lose some fights to help make money, basically. He had to throw the fights because of his brother. And then on top of that, there's also this mystery going, or not really a mystery, but essentially he gets involved with this mafia kind of guy who runs the union on the waterfront where they do like shipyard kind of work.
Yeah.
And he controls who gets work and who doesn't. And so what ends up happening is he gets involved in this, gets this guy killed, essentially, and he falls in love with this dead guy's sister. Mm-hmm. And he has to tell her the truth, and things unravel from there. And it gets pretty intense and a little romantic, and there's a lot.
Very
It's
romantic.
an enjoyable movie. Very.
So, okay, guys.
Kissy.
We are going to, if you've never joined our podcast before, welcome. We are going to start doing likes and dislikes now. So, Carson, or I guess I'll go. Let's talk about our likes. First off, I think likes is, I studied this film in college. This is a very film studies like 101.
It's a classic
kind of movie.
Sure,
yeah. And it's really kind of got all the elements here. In terms of, like, kind of what you said, there's some love in it, and I would say it kind of overtakes a lot of the story, but there is a giant love story here where this kind of, as they call him, a bum, he falls in love with the brother, or the brother's crazy.
I would watch that. That's like the remake.
Yeah, I know, honestly. That would probably be the 2024 remake. Let's just say it. No, he falls in love with the sister of the brother who got pushed off of a building. And then there's just kind of this... it's more of an internal debate, I would say, that Marlon Brando starts going through about, like... He starts to actually feel guilty. He also has this... Like, I would say he gets stuck in this trap of everybody calls him a bum, people call him useless, even, like, and he starts to feel that too because he could have been a really good fighter. And
there's that priest too, kind of pushing him to do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of good.
And he just wants to just exist. That's all he wants.
Yeah, poor guy. Wants to exist and fall in love, and it really, I think it gives Marlon Brando's character a nice clean slate, but it kind of gives him this, like, blank canvas of he gets to choose what he wants to be. He has the evil and the good on, each shoulder, and now he's kind of like writing his story. So I really liked it. I thought the story overall was it's a pretty nuts story, but I liked it. It's simple enough, and it's a strong enough story, and it carries through like the entire movie.
Yeah, that was your likes?
Yeah, those were my
mainly
likes.
like the story and the themes, I guess. Yeah, for me, I 100% agree. I think the story and the themes are kind of what hook you, and I think the soundtrack does a good job of kind of tugging you along like into that romance.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The kind of intensity of that final sequence. And I think ultimately for me, what makes this movie great is the last maybe 15, 20 minutes. There's some really cool, intense things that happen concerning his brother, his love interest, and I guess just visually too, that there's like some really good symbolism. There's some stuff involving pigeons that I think was actually like traumatizing.
A pigeon
for me.
for
I
a
was like,
pigeon.
no, dude, that was nuts.
That
I
was
like,
crazy.
Kid's like 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some really cool stuff, and there's a lot of like interesting themes going on. Something I did notice, I didn't do too big of a deep dive into this, but I know the director, can't remember his name right now, actually ratted on some people for being communist during the Red Scare. And so Orson Welles called him like a traitor, but like really likes his movies and like stuff like that. So there's some interesting intrigue there.
Yeah.
It's a whole big piece of movie history, is that the Red Scare and how that impacted a lot of artists. So something interesting to think about. So it's kind of similar to this story, like how he's kind of ratting on the mob essentially. But yeah, those are my main likes. Is just the story, the cinematography. It's, you know, a lower budget film, but they pull off some really cool stuff, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, so what would be some of your dislikes?
I feel like it's a tad long.
Oh, interesting.
For me, like it's not the longest movie in the world, but I just think the setup takes a long time. So, yeah, that, and then I wasn't 100% sold on the romance right away. It took a lot for me to be like, oh, maybe, you know?
I can buy into that one.
Especially when he kicks down the door, and I'm like, no, I would not go with this man if I was a woman. I would be scared of him, right?
I would say I just wish there was more of, like, more mafia-driven stuff. There's, like, we get a couple of scenes, but kind of like I said, it's a like and a dislike, but the love story kind of overtakes the entire movie. And I get it.
We don't see the crime aspect as much.
Yeah, we don't see that. Or, like, it would actually be cool if we had, like, you know, Marlon Brando being told to throw some of his fights instead of just dialogue on it. And
yeah, that'd be true. That'd be good.
But I liked... I don't know. I agree with you that some of it is a little bit long. Like, some scenes aren't necessarily... like relevant. Like, one of the scenes that comes to my mind is when they're at the shipyard and then the whole, like, all those boxes fall on that guy and it you know, ends him random. And then it was so dramatic. They're like, we need a doctor. He's like, no, he needs a priest. And then the scene just ends.
I know.
It was the shortest scene ever, but I was like, what was the point?
Yeah, I was
of
a little
that?
confused
like,
about that
why did
too.
we see that death? So yeah, I would say some of...
Well, that was the guy that was supposed to be ratting another guy, but
right, yeah, but it was just...
I forgot what he looked like by then.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, this movie, you kind of get lost in what everybody... Besides Marlon Brando, you kind of get lost on who's who.
Yeah, him and the main mobster.
Yeah, and then the priest.
Obviously, the girl and the priest are pretty...
Yeah, everybody else is
yeah.
kind of forgettable, but that might also be due to the time of this movie. So anyway, yeah, I don't have too many dislikes. I just wish that they showed more of the other side, the crime side, rather than just the love story side. I see how they both connect and they go together, but, you know, that's kind of my just critique on it. But other than that, I mean, this is still a solid film. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Dang, I feel like it's actually better than Lady from Shanghai.
Interesting. I still like Lady from Shanghai a little bit better.
I think Lady is, like, more visually interesting and, like, creative. I just think this is technically, like, a tighter film overall.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
And I love that ending. Both movies have amazing endings.
Yeah, they
actually
do. They're very different endings too. But okay, guys. Well, that is going to be On the Waterfront. You can go check it out on Amazon Prime Rentals or the Criterion channel. Yeah, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like this subscription service that has a lot of classic movies on it. It's for a lot of
or art house, I guess.
Yeah, that too. So it's kind of nerdy in that way, but it's on there, or you can just probably buy it DVD wise. It's really old, so you can probably find it on VHS. I don't know.
Yeah, there's probably some nice editions of this.
Anyway, guys, well, thank you for stopping by. This is the Clean Slate Podcast, and we are going to be wrapping up next week with Noir, or finishing off Noirvember. But be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment on our podcast, and let us know what you think. Let us know which audio. Are you hearing on the left side of the audio or on the right side of the audio? That's what's most important. So that will be fixed next episode. But yeah, guys, thank you for sticking along and letting us know your thoughts. So we will see you next week.
That's a Clean Slate.
Okay.
Sick. Let the haters fuel our energy.
Brick.
Should I keep recording or turn it off?
Let's keep recording.
All right. Rick.
You might need to carry this one.
Why? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
Or you just hated it?
I didn't hate it,
Let's
but
do
I definitely don't.
Let's just jump in.
Yep.
Let's just jump in. It's fine.
All right.
I have a lot of love for this movie.
Good. I'm glad. At least one of us does.
Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. I'm Carson Phillips. That's Daniel Garza. And this is Brick, the review.
All right, guys, we are finishing up. We're in the last week of Noirvember, and then we are quickly moving on to Christmas. So, guys, we have the last movie of Noir for you, and it is, like Carson said, Brick. A teenage loner pushes his way into the underworld of high school crime ring to investigate the disappearance of his ex-girlfriend.
This reminds me of my high school experience.
All of ours, really.
What if I talked like... I don't even know how to do that in person. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I couldn't commit. I was scared. This would be on the internet forever. Yeah. I don't want to try it. Next year, I'm going to really commit.
Let's just say Brick so much this episode so that when we make the clips, people know what movie we're talking about.
Brick.
Bricked up. Brick. That was crazy. All right, guys.
Bricked up with Rick.
So, Carson, tell us what the plot summary is of Brick.
Yeah, so this movie has a nuts
Wait,
plot.
what movie?
But it's
is
also Brick.
Okay.
It's also pretty by the books noir film in a lot of sense. But we kind of hone in on a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Love it or
I don't know. Levitt.
Okay.
I do love him. And I don't know if this was one of his earliest performances, but it definitely is on the earlier end of things.
He's pretty young in Brick.
I don't know. I just don't know if it was before 10 Things I Hate About You or not.
I'll find out.
Which he's barely in, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so this is an early film from him. Also, Rian Johnson, the director of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So a lot of you hate him. I like that movie. That's a different conversation. But he also did Knives Out, for all you Knives Out fans.
That's so crazy.
Looper,
I don't remember him in Knives Out.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it, but he's barely in it.
That's so funny.
Like, you don't see him. I think it's
he's literally just a voice. It's credited him as a voice. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is the earliest film from Rian Johnson as far as features go. I know it premiered at Sundance, and plot-wise, we're introduced again to Joseph, and he's in this he's kind of like a detective, I guess, at this high school, and he accepts a case from this young lady who's like, hey, there has been a murder, basically. And from there, we don't know who the murder was, what happened. We know very little. We know less than Gordon does. And from there, he's kind of diving into this world of crime and drugs and sex and parties and moms making you pizza bites while you're interrogating
Writing
someone.
Up the whole crime.
And that's the gimmick of this, is it does take place within a high school setting.
Yeah.
Most of the background actors are actual high schoolers, and you can tell by their acting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Like, let's take this hardcore noir film story and place it in a setting that is very filmable and easy to do. Super low budget film. I think they filmed it in like a month as well. Super interesting. So I'll get into my likes more, but that's essentially the plot. I don't want to spoil too much because there is a mystery going on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the surprises are fun, even though you kind of know where it's going.
Okay. So starting off with likes and dislikes, or starting off with likes, is that this movie actually is a pretty gripping story from the beginning. Like, it doesn't start off necessarily super slow. You kind of jump right into the action and the mystery of it all. The one thing I did love, even though it is it's almost 20 years old, this movie. One thing that I did love is that the cinematography and the editing style of it is so good. Kind of like what you said, it is a cut and dry noir movie. Some of the dialogue, the back and forth kind of thing of just getting information, that's right there at the beginning of him trying to solve the mystery. But at the same time, in the movie Brick, that they have a lot of these cool editing sequences like the car scene that he's going through, or just even the play on the shadows and then people hiding in the shadows coming out of nowhere. Like the movie is really cool, and it's visually like pretty spectacular. Like this is they shot it in very, very Southern California, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
like, it's
San
so cool.
Clemente,
Yeah,
maybe.
San Clemente,
I
I
think
think
they might have
so.
shot it there.
Yeah.
You know, something that's kind of cool too, going off of what I guess I'll get into my likes. Based off the editing, is I guess it's partially, and the visuals are partially based on Cowboy Bebop, which is like the greatest anime of all time. Don't come after me for that statement, but I love that movie, and it has like this, or that show, and it has like a jazz soundtrack and stuff. And this kind of has a similar vibe that they accomplished pretty well,
For sure.
And then on top of that, you know, like you said, the story is super captivating. But for me, my biggest like is just the heart behind making this movie. Like he was obsessed with noir films and books and stuff like that, and this movie is a love letter to that genre, and done in a way that really, if you have a little bit of money, you can make this movie. Money and talent, obviously, but it's low budget. It's super kind of a niche story, and it works really well, and that inspires me as like a creative person. Like I could do this, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why I really get hooked in on this.
Okay.
Movie was originally recommended to me by my old roommate Cade Santa Cruz, who doesn't listen or care about this.
Oh,
but
so sad.
great movie. And I think if you haven't seen it and you want to see a pretty popular director do his first film, and some now popular actors do some of their early work, with a story that would not be told in like normal Hollywood, like this wouldn't get made. If he wanted to make this now, it'd have to be a passion project. So I think it's cool that, you know, films like this exist, and a lot of people don't know about them, so you should check it out if you haven't.
Yeah. Fun fact, though, I mean, it's not like an actual fun fact, but something that I thought was interesting is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Lucas Haas, they both meet again later on in Inception. They, I don't know if you remember Lucas Haas, the pin. He plays the like designer person, whatever that ends up getting got. But kind of funny because right when I saw him, I was like, wait a second, I know this guy from somewhere, and lo and behold, in Inception. But okay,
that's funny. He's young in this. Then
they're both really young. Okay, so let's get into
also the tunnel scene. If you guys haven't seen this movie, is expert filmmaking from like a first time director. I have no idea how they made that look so cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I love it. But
anyway, okay, so get into your dislikes.
This movie's super flawed. I mean, it very clearly is like a first effort at a feature film.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I would do any better, but there's clearly some flaws in the storytelling. Maybe even not necessarily the acting. I think the core cast is good, but you can tell the background actors and like side characters are all actual high schoolers. And then sometimes maybe the joke isn't that funny, like that they think is funny while they're making this. Like the kind of like
that inside
I like
humor.
This. Yeah, there's a lot of inside humor, a lot of like poking fun, I guess, at noir conventions, or even like there's a character who kind of has like a Marlon Brando Godfather kind of vibe going on, and it's funny enough, but like everyone makes fun of that. Maybe not at the time, I don't know, but there's a few things like that are a little stale, I guess. And I kind of do feel like Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets like a lot of screen time compared to some of these other characters that I kind of wish I could have seen. As much as I love him and think he's a great actor, I wish I had more connection to some of these other characters. So it's mostly from a storytelling perspective. It could have been a little bit better written. But it's hard to say it was bad filmmaking. It's just not 100% perfect.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. I agree. I think that I have quite a few dislikes. I didn't love this movie.
I mean, you have one big qualm.
What do you mean?
You don't like the idea that it's in a high school.
No, not necessarily. I just think it's a little goofy to me. Like it's like right nowadays our problem with these movies is that these characters act way too adult for their age. Like when you're ever watching Disney Channel now, like you got 12-year-olds who are acting like they're like 30s. And it's just like...
Or like Euphoria.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Euphoria is actually, I would say, pretty on point with, like, at least what's real today. But like in Disney Channel, it just becomes a little cheesy. So that's kind of what I thought with this. Kind of gave me Disney Channel like adult vibes of like, right, kind of
That's
like
crazy.
the Pin. Like he's just sitting in his like hole, and I get what they're trying to do. Like he's sitting in his dark basement at his mom's house, and then they cut to her giving them snacks when he's doing it.
So funny.
But it
I
just
think it's
like
funny.
I don't know. The entire movie wasn't funny until this scene, and I was just like, okay. And I didn't think it was hilarious in the slightest.
That's okay. I mean, the actors are playing it serious, though.
Yeah,
so it's definitely
for sure.
intentionally weird.
Yeah,
Right.
and so I just thought
So it
it
didn't
was
land
like,
with you, it
yeah,
seems
I thought it was a little bit too goofy. I didn't love actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt's acting in this. I think he played a really
Interesting.
safe character in his just acting choices. In terms of like physical action and then the way that he delivered some of his lines, I was just like, and I get it. He's young in his career. Maybe he's still figuring it out. But like that's just like a ding that I would give to this movie. And then I would say that this movie seems a lot like what is it, Beneath the Silver Lake or Under the Silver Lake?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, so this is, I would say maybe Under the Silver Lake is a little bit derivative of this, but Under the Silver Lake does it way
It could be.
better.
I mean, they're doing different things, though, I would say. I mean,
Not necessarily.
yeah, they're doing different things.
I mean-
they're doing something kind of different.
The outcome is different, but,
I think the intentionality behind both filmmakers is
well,
different.
sure, but they're still telling a similar story, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, technically, they're both just derivative of anything David Lynch has made.
For sure. That's true.
From what I understand, the soundtrack was by Ryan Johnson's brother. I can't remember his first name, but they intentionally tried to make a soundtrack that was inspired by Twin Peaks. So, kind of an interesting tidbit,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, so anyway, I mean, again, this movie isn't all that bad. There's just times where I was just like getting taken out of it. I thought that sometimes in these films, when you go too deep into something, you lose track of what they're really trying to do. And for me, that's kind of what happened. It became kind of like a Mandalorian episode where it's like, well, go do this now, and then you'll get this, and go do this now, and then you'll get, and it was just like, okay, come on. So, yeah, overall, I would still say it's a decent movie. Would I want to watch it again? Heck no. It was way too long for me.
I own this movie. I love this movie.
I would never watch this again. I can't do it.
It's fun.
It could be true. But I will say I have liked 3 out of our 4 noir movies this month. And that's probably a record.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a good record.
Yeah, that
for me.
might be.
Anyway, okay, so
I think you liked most of them last year, though.
I think I did. Maybe besides that one with what's-his-face in it, the Christmas one.
The Christmas one.
It has the same guys from Some Like It Hot. Or the same guy. We watched...
Oh, The Apartment?
Yes.
We watched that for Christmas. That's not a noir film.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
It's a
I thought we definitely...
tragic comedy.
I thought we definitely watched it for Noirvember. Anyway, okay.
it's
Any
black and
final
white.
thoughts on Brick?
No, but the movie we just reviewed is called Brick.
Yeah. So if you
For
guys
those of
are
you wondering.
looking to find out what this movie is, it's called Brick, and you can type in Brick on Prime Video, and Brick the movie should pop up. 2005. It's called Brick. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt stars in Brick. So for all of you,
Love it.
love it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, McLovett. Anyway, guys, so thank you for
Love
watching our episode on Brick, and that's the end of Noirvember, guys. So we are going to be quickly moving on into December. Christmas time is here, so we are going to be doing a little series on Christmas, and then time to kick off the new year of all of our alliterations of the month.
Yeah. We have a lot of themed months coming your way, so get ready.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share our podcast. We love that you're here. We want to keep doing this sort of thing. So make sure you please support our channel. We would greatly appreciate it. But until then, we will see you next week for the beginning of our Christmas special. Peace.
Peace.
And cut. Oh, let's start.
Sick. That was fun.
30.